What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're going to be doing an NFL mock draft post start of free agency. So there's still guys who are going to get signed, cut. I know Jerry Sneed just got cut like an hour ago before I started recording this video. So that, can spice up pick number 4, but I don't think it really will. But obviously pick 1 is obviously a lock. It's Mendoza. I think he's like a minus 50,000 to go to the Raiders right now, so you can't even make money off that bet. At pick 2, I gotta go Arvell Reese. I think this just makes the most sense. I know people are starting to say could be David Bailey, could be a few other people, could be Jeremiah Love. I heard someone say that, but that doesn't make any sense. I think Arvell Reese makes the most sense because you could just move him to edge. I think the Jermaine Johnson trade adds to that factor, and I think they could definitely, develop him kind of how, the Cowboys did with Micah Parsons. But they got Aaron Glenn as their head coach, defensive minded head coach. He's more of a motivator, I feel, a motivator than like a technician. So I don't know how well that will turn out. But at pick number 3, we have the Cardinals. They also have Paris Johnson at left tackle. They don't have a quarterback option here, which sucks for them. Linebacker Styles fits that. They can still go edge. Francis Mariota is more of a guard. So it's a tough spot to be in, but I feel like Spencer Fanu at right tackle makes the most sense. They need a right tackle. They get Fanu at pick 3, makes a ton of sense. At pick 4, we have the Tennessee Titans. They just did the awful rebrand of their logo. So glad to see they haven't changed it on PFF. But still, running back, a lot of people are linking Jeremiah Love to them at pick 4. I don't think that's what I would do if I was them. I can still see him going Jeremiah Love, but you have Tony Pollard, you have Tajay Spears. I think the biggest need is upgrading that offensive line. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go Francis Mariota at pick 7, and we're going to move him into guard. I think he could be a studded guard. So I feel like protecting Cam Ward and, the Miami link up right there makes sense. At pick number 5, we have the Giants. Wide receiver, guard, DB, all our needs. But I think Sonny Styles makes the most sense just because you just signed Tremaine Edmonds, but he's coming off the injury, 3-year, $36 million contract. I know they just cut who was it? Their middle linebacker. It's not Okawanko or how's his name. He was a good linebacker, I thought, but they cut him. And I think Sonny Styles fits their long-term need at linebacker, and I don't think Tremaine Edmonds does. And I think you can he's an off-ball linebacker. You need off-ball linebackers in this league, and if you can get a good one, you take them. And I know pick 5 seems a little early for a linebacker positional value, but it makes most sense in my opinion. At pick number 6, we have the Browns. I'm going to go Carnell Tate. They haven't really addressed the wide receiver position much in free agency, but they've addressed the offensive line issue a big time. Titus Howard, Zion Johnson. I think they just signed Elton Jenkins, if I'm not mistaken. They've been making moves on that offensive line. I know they could still go left tackle, I believe, but I think they've been making moves. I think they're fine taking a wide receiver. If not, I can see them going Monroe Freeling at pick 6. I can see him going that high, but he's more of a guy you have to develop, and I don't know if they're capable of doing that. At pick 7, I got to go Jeremiah Love to the Commanders. I think that one makes a lot of sense. They just upgraded edge, and I think they could definitely, if Deebo Samuel has been back, I can see them going wide receiver, but I feel like the only guys who I feel going comfortable at pick 7 wide receiver wise is Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi Lemon's still on the board, so I can see them doing that, but you never know. At pick 8, we have the Saints. I feel like corner is kind of what they're gonna do here. Do I love it for them? No, but I think Mansour Delaney feels like who they're gonna take at pick 8. At 9, I feel like this is another corner pick. I feel like this is going to be McCoy out of Tennessee. Remember, they just lost McDuffie. They just lost another quality rotation corner that starts for them to the Titans. Get his name off the top of my head. He sounded like a 3-year. What do you sound like a 3-year, $45 million contract, something like that. He's getting paid decent money. So they've lost a lot of depth and starters at the DB position. They've even lost safeties. So I feel like they gotta go corner there, replace McDuffie, which isn't easy to do, but I feel like that makes somewhat sense. And I mean, they got all those additional draft picks for the McDuffie trade. They got a third round like next year, this year, so makes sense. At pick number 10, we have the Bengals. The Bengals really always go for talented players, but I mean, this is a tough one. I could see them going Ruben Bain and try to move him in to the inside a little bit, kind of be like he's such a weird player just because of his size. He's really good at run stopping, like stopping the run. I don't think he'll ever be like a phenomenal edge in the sense of he can't really. I don't think he'll ever be like putting up big sack numbers or getting a lot of pressures just because his arms are so short. And you get them big left tackles, big right tackles, and then I feel like it'd be so hard for him to be competitive there. And I think Downs makes a lot of sense here, but Downs had a really bad combine physicals as well. I feel like there's a lot of guys that could go here. And I'm gonna go Caleb Banks. I think they need to upgrade the interior. They just signed Boye Mafe, so they got Edge, they got Stewart. I feel like they go interior defensive line and hope that works out at pick number 10. At pick number 11, we have the Dolphins. The Dolphins could go a lot of positions here. But I feel like they go David Bailey with him just falling this far. Um, I don't think they have Bradley Chubb anymore. They do have Chop Robinson out of Penn State, who they drafted not too long ago. Hopefully he can come into his own. He's not a bad player, but they keep upgrading. That would be 3 years in a row. They've added pieces to the defensive line, so I could see them doing that. It usually works off for a lot of teams in the long run if they keep investing first round picks in the defensive line. Particularly, you look at teams like the Eagles, like the 49ers. It usually works off or pays off over time. At pick 12, this is a tough one. I feel like corner is like their biggest need. Like honestly, at pick 12 for the Cowboys, and the top two corners are off the board, which sucks for them. And there's not really a ton in between that fit that. Colton Hood's the next one, really, and I don't even like him as much. And then you also have Pons out of Indiana. You have Sissy out of South Carolina. You have a lot of guys, but they aren't projected to go for a while. So do you really want to reach? I don't know. I could see Dylan Thieneman being the move here just because I feel like he's so good in coverage. Obviously, he's not going to play corner, but I feel like he could help out quite a bit. So it's a tough call here. Like, who do you go for? You got to kind of just go best player available, but I feel like Thieneman fits more what they need than Downs, if I'm being honest. And if you go Downs, then you're probably not going to go linebacker. And I feel like they like CJ Allen a lot, and I feel like they could take him here, or they could pick him at 20. So I feel like they just go best player available, and they take Ruben Bain, and they hope he works out, and they can find a good spot for him on that defensive line. At pick 13, I forgot them going Kenyon Sadiq because I think they could use him as like a slot receiver. Opposite of Puka, obviously Devontae Adams is still there. I feel like Mekhi Lemon would be a good pick, but he's gonna primarily be out of the slot. I feel like so doesn't really fit exactly what they need. At pick number 14, we have Baltimore. They don't need safety. I don't care what they say. They got Starks. They got Hamilton. So I don't think Downs would fit them. I think Thieneman would fit them better if they were going safety. But this is a tough call. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to go. I love the guy. How do you say his name? Lone. Because they just lost Cam Jurgens. They need to upgrade, or Tyler Linderbaum. They need to upgrade that interior. And there's rumors they can move in one of their guards to center, so they get an upgrade on the interior. At pick number 15, we have the Buccaneers. Do they go one of the top safeties here? I don't really think so. Tight end, they could go tight end, but do you really want to reach on a tight end right here? I don't think so. Linebacker, I think that makes some sense, and I can see them stealing CJ Allen from the Cowboys at pick 20 if the draft board falls this way. At pick number 16, we have the Jets, and the Jets need a lot, and they don't need much on offense as much, I would say. They need it more on defense, but with Mekhi Lemon falling this far, I feel like they gotta take him just because I feel like that would definitely buff up. He could play the slot. You have Garrett Wilson on the outside, Adonai Mitchell on the outside. Makes a lot of sense. They got Geno Smith. Get Geno Smith some playmakers, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Just positional value, and obviously I think he's one of the best players left on the draft board. At pick number 17, we have the Lions, and you need linebacker. He kind of fits that box linebacker style. It's Caleb Downs. You can bring him down. He can play box safety, and you got a guy who is very talented and can make a lot of plays. At pick number 18, we had the Vikings. The Vikings need help everywhere on this team right now. They need it on D-line a lot, so I got to go with Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. They just got rid of Jonathan Allen. You need to upgrade that interior, or else that team's just not going to cut it. And now we have 4 Ohio State players gone in this draft. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's 5, right? So we have the 2 linebackers, we have wide receiver, safety, defensive lineman. So 5, all the way from pick 1 to 18, basically. At pick number 19, we had the Panthers. The Panthers need a lot of help too. Not really, actually. But I think Monroe feels like the safest bet here. You can move him over to right tackle. You have actually a very good offensive line, in my opinion, like quality. They have a lot of quality on the offensive line. I would say like Jordan Tyson wouldn't be the worst pick. You could put him opposite of Tedero McMillan, but I feel like they got to keep investing in the offensive line. And Monroe feels like a good pick here because they have so many good players on that offensive line that could help develop him because he's gonna need a lot of help developing. So I think that makes some sense. At pick number 20, we have the Cowboys. They need corner, they need linebacker. It's a tough position to be in because all the top corners are off the board. But we have Colton Hood. We have where's he at? Pons. I can see them really. I feel like Hood's probably the only guy that they would feel. Oh, actually, Terrell. I forgot Avion Terrell here. We're gonna go Avion Terrell. How did I miss over him? Avion Terrell. I'm a big Clemson guy. I feel like he didn't perform as well this year as he should have, but that was basically every player on Clemson, so it was a very weird thing. And yeah, I like it. We got the Steelers. I honestly think the Steelers are going to take a wide receiver, and I think it's going to be Jordan Tyson at this pick. You have DK Metcalf, Jordan Tyson on the outside, Michael Pittman Jr. on the inside playing slot, and you got Pat Freiermuth. You got whoever else you got at tight end. I think that's a great lineup, and I like that a lot. Because you're going from just DK Metcalf and Roman Wilson and some nobodies to having Michael Pittman Jr. out of the slot who's mediocre, kind of, but, is better than what you had. And then you have Jordan Tyson on the outside. I like that a lot. Puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Mike McCarthy loves to throw the ball. So go get him some receivers. At pick number 22, we have the Chargers. Chargers could go a lot of people right here, honestly. And they just lost Odif Owe. So I got them going TJ Parker out of Clemson. I love TJ Parker, one of my favorite edge rushers in the entire draft class. I feel more confident in him than I do in David Bailey, Ruben Bain, Arvell Reese. I feel confident in TJ Parker. I think he's going to work out phenomenally in the NFL. And I know this wasn't a great year for him at Clemson, but it wasn't good for anybody. So I got to keep saying that. At pick 23, we got to go Dylan Thiedemann, best player available, and they just lost Reed Blankenship. This pick makes a lot of sense. And they just had Reek Woolen. I mean, they'll have an insane secondary, and they love adding, depth to the secondary. And I think there's a big 2-year gap now between who's going to be like your top safety and your 2 star corners, DeJean, Mitchell. I think you got to do that. Browns at pick 24. I don't think they could be really stupid and take Blake Miller, in my opinion. So, I may have to do that just because they're stupid. but I don't really want to. Do I? It's tough to say. He's kind of like, who do you go here? They could go edge, honestly, but I don't think they would. They just got Mason Graham, so would they go Peter Woods? Probably not. Caden Proctor here, though, feels more like a pick they would do because they did just lose their left tackle, and Conklin's gone as well. So I know you just got Tyus Howard, but I can see them going Caden Proctor, pick 24, reaching on him. He's very athletic. I feel like some scouts are in love with him, some aren't. I feel like that pick makes some sense. At pick 25, this is tough. The Bears didn't get a interior defensive lineman that they wanted. So they got to go with Peter Woods. Peter Woods is definitely going to the Bears at pick 25 if he's still there. I think that just makes so much sense. And if the top two defensive linemen interior are all drafted, you got to go Peter Woods. And I think Peter Woods, man, was like a top 8 pick before the season started. And now he's going back of the first round. I mean, he still has so much talent. I feel like it's hard to pass up on that. So at pick number 26, we have the Bills. Folk's there. Don't like Folk that much. Cassius Howe feels like the pick. They could still go edge, in my opinion. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Edge does make sense to me. And I feel like Cassius Howe's a kind of a pick that they would do. At pick 27, we have the 49ers. The 49ers need help in a lot of places. I don't feel like there's a lot of teams I don't feel like there's many teams that could develop Emmanuel McNeil Warren as well as other teams. So I don't feel like he's going to get picked here just because he is skyrocketing up draft boards just because of talent. That's what he is. And I don't feel like there's a lot of teams that are going to be able to develop him like they need to draft him. So I don't think the 49ers take him. They need guard, they need tackle, they need offensive line really bad. They're talking about losing Trent Williams and trading him now. If they trade Trent Williams, what do? You don't have anything on that line. So I think they go Caleb Lomo out of Utah. You add him to the offensive line, and you just put him at guard. You put him at probably guard, but I feel like they have to do something to the offensive line because it's just such a bad spot. At pick 28, same sort of deal for the Texans. They need help on that offensive line very badly. So we got to go Emmanuel Pregnon, how you say his last name, from Oregon. He's a quality offensive lineman. He could play guard for you. I feel like that's the pick right there. At pick 29, we have the Chiefs. The Chiefs need wide receiver. They need tackle. What did we address? We drafted. Oh yeah, DB. They need help on the defensive line as well. It's a tough spot. They just signed a safety as well, Gilman, from the Ravens. So maybe Snead goes back there. Do you really want to invest, twice in the defensive backs? I don't think so. D line, Mesmador's there, but it's hard to say just how teams are gonna value him. Falk kind of feels like the pick here. Best upside available, I'd say, is Kedrick Falk. He's still young. He's got all the athletic tools you need. I think he can fit in there, play pretty well. At pick number 30, we had the Broncos. Broncos need tight end, defensive line, linebacker. There's not really any linebackers available. Defensive line, Mesmador's there, but you're talking more interior. I feel like they just lost Franklin Myers. They just lost Drake Greenlaw. Who do you want to go? Maybe you go Lee Hunter. Maybe you go Christian Miller. I think they go Zion Young, the edge out of Missouri. I feel like he's a guy who's going to sneak his way into the end of the first round, and I could see them going him. I don't think the edge an insane amount, but if you don't know anything about Missouri edge rushers, they usually typically are much bigger than your average one. They're usually about 250 plus, and I think you can play on the if they're going like the 3-4 with Benito on that side. They have Zach Allen as well. They can move him inside more so. They obviously need that nose tackle, but it makes sense in my opinion. At pick 31, this has to be a receiver. So who do you go? Let's just do this. Wide receiver. This is the only position that I think they'll be drafting. Patriots. They don't have great receivers. They just signed Romeo Doubs. They have Kayshon Boutte, but outside of that, they don't really have too much going on. Do you really want to rely on Matt Collins? You just lost Stephon Diggs because he's probably going to jail. I think you go Denzel Boston. He can play on the slot. Romeo Dobbs can play on the outside. And yeah, I think Denzel Boston should go first round. I could see him sliding out maybe, and maybe they go Concepcion, but still very hard. And then at last pick we had the Seahawks. They need running back really bad. Is there a running back you think they're gonna take in the first round? Price, Washington, Jonah Coleman. A lot of these guys rejected third round picks. Really, I don't think they would do it. I think if they're gonna go is Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety out of Toledo. Reason being, they just lost Kobe Bryant. I feel like this is like one of the most prototypical picks that Mike McDonald likes, and he has a little bit of a different skills than Emmanuel Aurier. So I think this would be just like an insane pick, and I think this is a pick that I think every Seahawks fan is gonna be hoping for. And yeah, that's gonna be my mock draft. Let me know what you think of this. Trying to do more of these YouTube videos, and we'll just break it down here real quick. But let me know what you think of it. Did you like it? I feel like I did probably pretty decent, especially the first 10 picks: Mendoza, Reese, Fanu, Maui Noah. I feel like Love is where it could get screwed up right here. Styles could fall. They could go receiver. They could go something else. Carnell Tate. I feel like at pick six, if he's there, they're going to take him. Same thing. Jeremiah Love. Delane. You don't know what the Saints are going to do. The Saints really do love just doing different stuff every year. You just never know who they're going to take. But yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, comment if you want to see more of these videos. I could do breakdowns of all the best free agent signings as well. And yeah, peace.